Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Hope Without Sight. This is episode 6, featuring Rob Holtz. Of course, the purpose of Hope Without Sight is to inspire others. And by us doing that, we invite people to share stories of overcoming challenges in life. So I'm your host, Sailor Cooper, and of course, my co-host is
Tyler Evans.
All right, and today on today's programming, our guest is Rob Holtz from California. He is a very, very remarkable individual who's had a lot of challenges in life, but he's overcome them and has done so much. Please welcome Rob Holtz to share his story. Rob, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing well, doing well. Thanks so much for agreeing to be on the Hope Without Sight podcast. So I'm so looking forward to you sharing your story in detail. So to get started, I know about your background. You were on the autism spectrum. And what's so crazy about it is you had no idea that you had it until like in 2005, like in your 40s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I read your website, which is myautismgifts.com, and what you have on there is just so empowering and inspirational. You know, you share how you struggle with stuttering at a very young age, and of course that that led to bullying, a low self-esteem, and you couldn't communicate. You couldn't figure out how to communicate with others and just have good, meaningful relationships. And not only that, you were in the dark, and you had no idea, why that was happening. But it says on your website that you've, when you were finally diagnosed in 2005, you just pressed on by taking many, many courses, like from Teen Tony Robbins, Toastmasters International, and the fact that you pressed on and you've overcome these challenges, you just inspire me, inspire Tyler, and of course you're inspiring my listeners. And now I just want you to just give us like a more detailed life story that you've lived.
Absolutely. So I'm here in Los Angeles, and it's great to be here. Thanks for your invitation. And my story is a story of not giving up and a story of hope.
Right.
Because fear does not stand for what you think it stands for. It does not stand for F everything and run, which is what I could have done really easily. I could have played the game, the blame game, the shame.
Yeah.
The shoulda, woulda, couldas. It's all my mom's fault. It's it's nature's fault. It's all my friends' fault. It's society's fault. But I don't play the blame game because when you play the blame game, you get nothing back in return.
That's right.
Other than more blame, because there's a computer saying, I'm a former computer nerd. It's GIGO. GIGO stands for garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you have garbage thoughts, guess what you create? Garbage reality.
Yeah, that's right.
And creating garbage reality, I had that for the first 25 years, and I got sick of it. So that's why I started in 1984. That's why I started taking all those courses. But before 1984, when I was learning to talk, like in the 60s, when they didn't have, diagnoses on the autism spectrum,
Right.
and the 70s. That's pretty new. No one knew. I didn't know I had it until I started seeing a therapist when I was 45. But so I was stuttering like this. And who wants to hang around with a guy who can't even communicate?
Exactly.
People ask me my name and I can only say vowels, not consonants. So
Yeah.
rather than Robbie Hodes, I would say I-E-O, because those were the vowels.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
and you're right. I eventually learned to talk and could communicate relatively good, but it wasn't until I was in my mid to late teens that I actually kicked the stuttering habit.
Hmm.
And what I did was I actually went, I was living in Los Angeles, and I heard about this place called the National Center for Stuttering in New York City.
Hmm.
And
wow.
basically what they had me do is they had me take this plastic hose and they had me blow into the hose because they noticed that after I got my first syllable out, I was pretty good. But the
Yeah.
first word, that was my challenge. So I would blow into the hose like, and then I would say the first syllable and the first word and etc. So, and then after I mastered that, they had me do other things. And after a year and a half, I was in really good shape.
Well, good.
But
Well,
then,
good.
yeah. But then college started. And before college, I had a physical exam and I was diagnosed with scoliosis. If anyone knows, that is curvature of the spine. And the doctor gave me two choices. He said, you could have a screwed up back for your entire life if you don't take my advice. And his advice was to wear a back brace. And this back brace had a neck rest and a back rest. And I don't know if anyone has ever seen the Munsters cartoons where Herman Munster has those things sticking out of his neck on the right and left side. Well, I had those things sticking out of my back brace.
Wow.
So again, semester in college, shy introverted nerd who can communicate now, but you have all these cool college kids who are like, what's this guy's problem?
Yeah.
So making friends was not easy. Being and I actually bribed a guy to go to a concert with me once.
Dang.
And I said, here's the yeah, I'll ticket when you arrive, blah blah blah, and he never showed up. I was like, okay, so much for that idea. I'm not gonna do that one anymore. Bribing people is not the way to go. I mean,
No.
and it wasn't a bribe, but you get the drift. You want somebody to hang out with them. You like them, and they're saying the right things, but in actuality, nothing turned out. So I obviously never talked to the guy again. Um, but I had to learn how to be genuine and how to be authentic, because when the fake it till you make it doesn't always work when you're talking like Pee Wee Herman or Steve Urkel. People don't want to hang around with that kind of guy. And obviously I'm exaggerating, but literally through all these courses, I learned how to be genuine. I learned how to be a leader, how to lead people. I organized I was taking courses at a place called the Summit Organization in Los Angeles. And it was like, I don't know if anyone has ever heard of EST or LifeSpring or Landmark Education. It was basically they had 45 different courses on the ego, self-esteem, personal presentation, sales, leadership. And I was so stubborn that for the first 9 months, when I was taking these courses, which weren't cheap, I wasn't doing anything about it. And finally, they got pissed off at me and said, "Hey, you either start taking action, or you're not going to be taking these courses anymore because you're wasting your money.
So
our time."
So you were taking those courses, but you weren't applying to what you learned. You weren't applying it to your life situation, and of course, that wasn't taking you anywhere. That's how I'm understanding it. And also, the part where you said you had trouble communicating with one of your guy friends, of course, that's expected in autism spectrum disorder because communication skills, they don't come natural. You know, people on the spectrum try to make friends, but they just don't understand how they go, and they're just misinterpreted a lot.
Oh yeah.
Exactly, right. And not only misinterpreted, I had in addition to high functioning autism, I had ADHD and Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah.
So with Asperger's, for those that don't know, it's it's hard reading body language.
Now Asperger's, according to I think it's a DSM-5, the very latest one. The last one was updated in 2013. Asperger's no longer exists. Now it's all culminated into one, autism spectrum disorder, because you see, a lot of people think autism is a single disorder, and it's not. It's a wide spectrum where people have different kinds of skills, different kinds of abilities, and it all depends on the severity of each of those domains, where and if you fit on the spectrum. Because me and Tyler, I'll admit, we're almost like brothers. I once have thought and questioned whether if I fit on the spectrum, because I do have some of those traits. I do like obsess over certain stuff, and like also I move my hands a lot. Classic kinds of autism involved taking something in your hand, shaking it, doing it like this. I don't know if you did that, Rob, but because of those traits, I question if I had it, but I don't think I do, because like you said, you may have some of the traits and some of the domains, but there's a minimum. It's like a mix and match. There's a minimum number of items that need to be checked in order for you to, fit on the spectrum. Am I right?
You are correct. Yes. And by the way, the reason why I wasn't taking their advice was because I was playing the blame game in the beginning. And then I was jolted back to reality. And I haven't played the blame game in like 35 years. So
you should not play the blame game, because you should never compare yourself to other people. That is killer right there.
Oh yeah.
Our Lord gave us uniquely great gifts.
Oh
yes. We need to put those gifts to use.
And it's called it's called being differently abled.
Yeah, don't look at the greener grass on the other side. don't wish that you had somebody else's skills. Like, honestly, there were periods of times, that I did compare myself to other people, and I would when I was there was one time I was just in a funk. I was depressed, not sure what I wanted to do of my life and how I would get there, and I would just think, oh gosh, I wish I was just like somebody else, and it's not healthy to do that. I mean, I'm proud of who I am, and that's the way it should be. And another thing I want to point out is I'm so proud of you, Rob, that you're educating people on what autism spectrum disorder is, because there's a lot of stigma out there, and people think when they hear the word autism, they're automatically scared because they think, oh, autism is bad. People with autism are incapable of doing stuff, and because of the way they act, the way they talk, they think they're stupid. It's not. I mean, it's not true. Yes, y'all on the spectrum are different. In a lot of ways, y'all may not do so well, in certain areas that the average non-autistic person may do. However, a lot of times autism is a trade-off. Y'all have uniquely gifted skills and traits that not many other people have. Like, I know a lot of people with autism who can just hear, they can pick out minute details that the average person can't. Like, I have a friend, he's a musician, he's on the spectrum. He can tell you what a major scale song is and what a non-major scale song is with a music note, which I don't know what the heck that is. I have no idea. I listen to music, but
Right.
I cannot differentiate, in detail like that. And that's what society needs to know is, not all of autism is bad. Y'all are uniquely gifted. Y'all can contribute to society with your gifts. It's just adapting and living with your condition in the best way possible.
Right, and it's about turning our lemons into the sweetest tasting lemonade possible.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, and it's about turning our quote unquote mess, and there is no mess, but they're turning our mess into our message.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
That's a good one.
And right, and telling people, hey, yes, I'm this, yes, I'm that, yes, I'm the other thing, but it just means that we're all unique.
Yes.
And we all have unique gifts. And I have a brother who's a doctor and another brother who's a lawyer. So if I compared myself to them, I would lose 100% of the time.
Exactly. Because you
Right.
see, me and Tyler were blind, and I mean, it'd be nice for us to see, but we've never seen before, so we're not missing out. I mean, yeah, we have certain inconveniences such as getting access to transportation. We can't drive, our own vehicles as of yet, but that's okay. We live our lives to the full, right, brother?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And the word disability, I actually kind of hate that word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not a disability, it's more an ability.
It's just a different way of doing things. Like, people with autism are technically disabled, are they not?
Rob, what would you say?
Well, it depends upon whose definition of disability you're using. If you're using a government definition like Social Security, They
Right.
don't consider autism a disability. However, there's, but there are different kinds. There are different levels. So
Right.
I was just, so the high functioning autism, which I have, is probably not considered a disability, but
Right.
there's low functioning and medium functioning, and the low functioning basically need help with everyday things, getting dressed and things like that.
Yeah.
And the medium functioning, can do, basic things, but depending upon how each individual's brain is wired, then it may be considered, a disability or not. But the bottom line is and this is what I teach people, because I'm a coach and a mentor, at www.myautismgifts.com.
That's right.
And a lot of people have chips on their shoulder, like really big, like the size of the White House,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they were picked on. They were thrown into rose bushes like I was. They were shunned because they were different. And you know what? I don't shun anybody. It's not the way that I do business. If I like people, I like them. If I don't like them and they don't respect me, well, so be it. It's their problem.
That's their problem. I was told that too. People don't like me. It's their problem. I'm myself, and I am who I'm gonna be. Don't
Right.
don't let anybody put you down.
Right. And also, have standards in your life. Like, for example, there's a friend of mine who I'm not talking to anymore because he had a whole bunch of issues. I did my best to support him, but we all have to draw a proverbial line in the sand. And what I mean by that is that if a person keeps saying XYZ and you tell them half a dozen times, don't say or do XYZ anymore, and they do it again, I'm like, goodbye.
That's right.
So
Right.
That's right.
right, and you be as authentic and genuine as possible, but at the same time, if a person's not open to input and feedback in terms of of what of seeing things not only as half full rather than half empty, and also seeing in this case, why they're losing friends, what they're doing to lose friends, and and that there are growth opportunities. Fail stands for all I learned.
That's right.
And so in life, crap happens. Okay,
Yeah.
it's just how we take it. And as I said earlier, fear does not stand for F everything and run. After you talk to a mentor or coach like myself, a minister, a
Yeah.
therapist, whoever can assist you, it then stands for feeling excited and ready.
Wow. That's it. Those are remarkable words there, Rob.
Right.
And before we continue, I do have a couple of clarification questions.
Sure.
Actually, from where I understand it, low, moderate, and high functioning autism, it refers to IQ. Is that correct? Does that refer to your intelligence quotient?
Well, possibly. I'm not that familiar with it, but the way that I understand it is how functional you are in terms of how much assistance you need, in terms of getting dressed and doing all the basic functions that we do. That would be on the low side. And then on the medium side, you can do all the basic things, and you might be able to do some household chores and, you know, make yourself some cereal and things like that. And then on the high functioning, it's basically, you know, there's just certain things that are specific to each individual person in how their brain is wired. Did that answer your question?
Yes, yes. And I believe you're talking about executive function, which is, it involves how a person can carry out daily tasks
Exactly,
and the
right.
level of difficulty they have carrying them out. Like
Correct.
you told me you're high functioning, you live on your own, right?
Right, yeah. Right.
Oh,
So
yeah. And
when you keep going.
and also I want to add to that, sensory issues are common, like overstimulated, if you're overstimulated by noise. Sometimes light
Yep,
may be
yep,
overstimulating, sound, texture.
right.
Have you had any difficulties with that?
No, fortunately not.
Because that's very
But
common in autism.
I absolutely. And for those who don't know what executive function is, it's a part of the brain that controls like motor skills and things like that. And if that part of the brain is not fully developed, then you have low executive functions.
Now you've had no issues with executive function, as I'm
No,
understanding.
no,
It's
no,
oh,
no,
that's good.
no, but here's but but here's an example of how I turned lemons into lemonade and how I'm turning my mess into my message. So I was picked on, you know, people were picking on me because I couldn't talk. So now, but what I do now is that I make fun of how people talk in a non-threatening way. Like if they say, you know, when I'm talking to someone and someone says, "Okay, I'm going to shoot you an email." I'm like, "Okay." And when you shoot me the email, what caliber bullet will you be using?
Yeah, I do. I get that. It's a way you understand language. Like you're very, very little, because I've watched different videos, especially with the Aspies. Uh, if someone was sitting down with someone with Asperger's syndrome, he'd say, "Get out of here." They may think, "Oh, you should physically leave and leave a room." And when I said, "Get out of here," that person's like, "No way, I can't believe this happened." So
Exactly.
it's the literal component of how people understand. Also, sarcasm and humor, that's an area of difficulty as well. Um, have you had difficulties with that?
No, I actually, what I do is I turn the tide on people, and I say, like for example, in addition to this, my passion of helping people and assisting people and breaking through their unseen and unknown barriers, I do have what I call a day job, and I do call center customer service, and mainly, and most of the people I talk to are senior citizens. So this is an example of how I playfully play with people's words.
Oh, so you have a
People,
job. Cool.
right, yeah. When I've held the job for the last 5.5 years, and a lot of people on the autism spectrum have issues, holding jobs.
Yes.
So, but so these senior citizens always say, well, thanks for your patience while I get my medication, or while they're looking up the answer to my question or whatever. And my typical answer, well, Mary or Steve or whoever, is, I don't know about you, but since I'm not a doctor or a nurse, I don't have any patience.
Wow.
And
And
and and and so when I make sure I say it slowly so they get the humor. Because if you say fast,
Ah,
then people will say, "What'd you say?" Blah, 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 blah. And you're going to lose them.
yeah.
And that's not an effective way of mentoring and coaching people. And you have to gauge a person's sense of humor or lack thereof when you're talking to them. And through all these 38 years worth of personal development courses, that's what I've done. So when I tell people I'm on the autism spectrum, most people don't even know because I'm so high functioning.
Yes, you're so high functioning. I mean, uh, you, I mean, you do a lot of things so well that people don't notice that you're even on it. Um, and I mean, wow, that's just remarkable. And my next question is, I've always wondered, I want to get this straight. Who diagnoses autism? Is it psychiatrist, speech language pathologist, or like who? I know, speech SLPs, they treat autism, but who makes the formal diagnosis?
It's a mental health professional,
A
and people
psychiatrist?
like a therapist. It doesn't have to be a psychiatrist, because psychiatrists mainly just prescribe medications
Medication.
nowadays.
Yeah.
They don't do like talk therapy. They leave that to the therapist. And what most therapists do, in my experience, is that the therapist diagnose you, and then the therapist has an arrangement with a psychiatrist to put you on any medication which would be appropriate. However, I refuse to use medications unless I really need to, simply because I want to be in control of me, not have the medication be in control of me.
Makes sense, because a lot of medications, they do have side effects. And I get it. Like, I mean, as I said, I don't believe I'm on a spectrum, but I do have ADHD, and of course there's varying degrees of ADHD as well. Like the the challenges that I have are like, I can't stay focused on a task. Also, procrastination happens a lot. Like, I'll get up in the morning, and sometimes I'm still tired. I can't, start on a task. I can't stay focused on it. There's distractions. And so I do take a Focalin, which is one of the best ADHD medications out there, because it has the minimal side effects that most stimulants have. And all it does is it gets me going in the morning. It gets me focused. It sits me down. It gets me motivated to accomplish what I need to do. And so that way I'm not like distracted everywhere. Um and when it wears off, I don't crash every day. And you see, I don't take it every day. I don't take it on weekends or holidays. I just mainly take it whenever I really need to study. And so, yeah, that's me. And I know, like, autism sometimes can be hard to diagnose because there's all these other comorbidities that can interfere as well, like ADHD. And so, yeah, that's that. So I see. I mean, so yeah, therapist diagnoses autism. But I mean, I know, like, of course, you weren't diagnosed until like mid adulthood. So, like, with a therapist, because mainly people who get diagnosed are children, like between 2 and 3 years of age. I mean, especially now. I mean, even 1-year-olds are getting diagnosed. Especially now with all the advancements in the studies. But like, I wonder if a therapist diagnoses children as well.
I believe they do. And nowadays, with all the advances in technology, yeah, kids are being diagnosed really, really early, but in like the 70s and the 80s and even into the 90s, there was
Yeah.
no, you know,
It wasn't being diagnosed as much.
right.
It wasn't as
Right.
wide.
And plus it didn't, how should I say this? It wasn't a popular diagnosis.
And also,
And people didn't know what to look for. Keep
yeah,
going.
and also, especially if a child is diagnosed at a young age, it is crucial that they are in a supportive environment and that like the parents are closely involved and they get all the help they can to help their children navigate the autism challenges, because they can have, at the end of the day, if they get the support early, they have a tremendous high potential. Am I right?
And absolutely, there's all sorts of testing and many other things that they can do. There's games that they play.
Yeah.
There's brain development things that they can do. But when I was diagnosed at 45, they're obviously not going to play kids games with me. But
No.
but 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 yeah, yes, a supportive environment, and supportive and special schooling and
Yes. Yeah.
medication and
Yes.
whatever is appropriate
Yeah.
for each
And
individual person.
and as far as the schooling, the parent, I believe, has to work very close with the school district and the IEP team to make sure that their child is not being like underestimated in any way. Just because, yeah, they may have a disability, but they can achieve their highest potential. Because I know, Tyler, with your blindness, you experienced that. Your mom went to go advocate for you when you were little in Austin, and because of that, you were in resource classes.
Well, before she advocated for me, yes, I was in resource classes. And she went to the ARD meetings, admission review and dismissal meetings.
Yeah, yeah. Because I
Now,
mean,
you
because
had ARD meetings.
I did, yeah, and like I was, especially in high school, I was kind of underestimated a little bit too. I felt like I was, but I advocated, and I proved myself that I can achieve my highest potential, and so yeah, that is definitely important as well.
Yeah.
And like Rob, I do want to say, because I say all this because I know you're high functioning, right? But I have a like a distant cousin. He's How old is he? He's 16. Yeah, he just turned 16 this past August. He's on the autism spectrum, but he's like on the severe end. He is more verbal. He will talk, but his vocabulary is very, very limited. And he was, even when he was 4, like, he couldn't dress himself. He couldn't even be like potty trained or anything, of that nature. I mean, he is now, but he's, he is on the severe end of the spectrum. But what's so sad is his environment that he's in, his parents are not good parents at all. They're very low income. They both have very low IQ. They have no concept of money. especially. And they're just messed up in a lot of ways. I mean, the father, he is better in some ways. He's on the spectrum as well. He does try to be a good dad, but the mother is, no good at all. And what's sad is that he's just not in a good environment, where he's being cared for. Because if he were, I mean, even though his autism may be more severe, he could be successful. Make sense? Yeah, hello.
Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, and in terms of playing with people's words, speaking of making sense, if you don't make sense, you don't make dollars either.
Yeah, that's a good joke. That's a good joke. Oh, so yeah. So yeah, I'm glad I got all these questions answered. And so before I talk about more after your diagnosis, Tyler, if you don't mind, I know, is it okay if I say it on this podcast?
Yeah, what were you going to talk about?
Well, I know since we're on the subject of autism, I know you've questioned if you've had a mild form of it. I mean, yeah. I mean, I won't say more. You take the mic. You go ahead.
Well, I think my sister-in-law was saying that she thinks I may have a mild form of it because sometimes I act a certain way. Yeah.
Oh, and keep going.
But yeah, I'm really soft-spoken sometimes, like when it comes to,
Me too.
sometimes with people, and, sometimes I'll act a little inappropriate, like on occasion, but I mean, I think I've always done that to a point, but I don't know if it has to do with that. It could be that I may still have ADHD, potentially.
What would you say?
I would say, if you have health insurance, and if it covers mental health benefits, well, get a referral there if need be, and for the person who is low income, perhaps there's Medicaid,
Right.
which is for low income people, and have the parents look into that. And by the way, sometimes things are not the fault of parents. They do the best they can. However, if they don't know how to do something, and they weren't taught, and they don't think it's anything possible, then they're not going to bring it up as a possibility. So therefore, that affects the child. Like, for example, my father was very quiet spoken, and my mother was just the opposite. She was like, my father was like wanting to read a book, and my mother was like, she was into like playing tennis and all that. So it's a question of, in that case, having someone outside the family, someone who loves and cares for the child or whatever, having a very polite and ginger conversation with the parent, so the parent doesn't feel like you're attacking them, saying, have you ever thought of this possibility or that possibility for Johnny or Jill or whatever the kid's name is? So
Yeah, I hear you, because I've heard it a lot. Of course, parents, they're our primary caretakers, right? They're around us 24/7. So, I mean, they're used to us. They're used to hearing us, how we communicate, and how we conduct ourselves, and therefore they may not notice other stuff to where, an outsider otherwise may. Makes sense? And but also, again, it's a mix and match, Tyler.
Right.
You may have a couple of characteristics here and there, but not sufficient to
Right.
be on the spectrum, because you're very social, right?
I'm very social. I love going and doing stuff. I love to go to church. I love to make friends.
You have issues with routines and executive function. No.
No.
What we're kind of going over it now. Let's see, what do we have? What are some of the others? You have no issues with transitions and routines. You have no sensory issues, none of that, like such as touch, hearing, no overstimulating stuff.
No, I don't think so.
And so
So I may not have it. Personally, I don't think I do.
No. You may not have it. And I think the stuff that Brittany's seen is, yes, it's some traits, but
Yeah.
it's more just like ADHD, and
Yeah, I think so too.
and so no, I don't think you have it. And so yeah, that's that. So enough on the what autism is. If anything, let's just talk about a little more about your achievements, because ultimately that's what the show is about. So of course you took the courses on Team Tony Robbins, Toastmasters. They taught you how to communicate. I do want to go back a little bit more though. I know in college, you graduated college, right?
Yes.
And oh wow, so what's your degree in?
Business administration.
Wow.
Sweet.
Wait, how long ago was that when you graduate?
1981.
How cool. And I know you grew up with a lot of bullying in school, but like how were academics a challenge for you at all, or did you do very well?
Yes. No, they were a definite challenge for me. Math was like Superman's kryptonite.
Oh man, me too.
Yeah. And a lot of people with autism, they do very well in math. I mean, it's not everybody. Like academics also vary. Some can calculate numbers so easily, and others they can write a story without thinking about it. So it's different. And so yeah, math was a struggle. And any others?
Well, actually, I was more focused on business courses. So so science and math, I was not good at. But when I was in college, I had a B+ average in any business class and a C+ average in science and math and all the other stuff that they force you to take to be a quote unquote well-rounded person, even though in a lot of cases we're not going to use that ever in life. But
no.
The way the education system works.
Yeah. It's so overrated. It really is. Yeah, it's so because honestly, that's why I didn't finish. Honestly, I went to college, but I didn't finish because I just couldn't sit through lectures and just study all the time. And a degree doesn't guarantee you a job. Period.
No, it doesn't.
Period. No. And that's why we're entrepreneurs now. With this podcast, we are going to spread a message of hope, and we are going to rake in a lot of cash. That's right, Tyler. Woo!
Oh yeah. And then I can help other people like my family.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, and when I'm talking to people, I'm known as the acronym king.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
literally, so literally, here's what disabled stands for in my mind: dedicated, intelligent, special, amazing, blessed, loyal, excellent, and determined.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Woo!
What about the
Right.
ILITY?
Well, I was doing it with less letters.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, so yeah, of course, you struggle in academics for school, but of course, you got through them just like everybody else.
Right.
But
Right.
so the, I guess the tipping point, the height, the pinnacle area in your journey living with your condition, I guess, was after you were diagnosed. Am I correct?
Exactly right.
So
Because then the pieces of the proverbial jigsaw puzzle all started coming together, and I saw, you know, everything, you know, very clearer. I mean,
you did, yes.
a lot clearer. Not very clear. That's bad English. Who gave me permission to be human? Oh, and
Yeah,
by
that's
the
right.
way,
We're all human.
yeah, right. And what I say is, when people make mistakes, that's what I typically say. Who gave you permission to be human?
We're all human. That's what humans do. We're not perfect.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
Right. But that's the gentle way that I poke fun at people. You know, so anything I say is not going to be anything that anyone would take offense to.
that's right. That's right. And so yeah, of course, you know, once you were diagnosed and you knew what was going on,
Hmm.
you didn't feel ashamed, and you were glad,
No,
and because
no.
a lot of people when they're so afraid to get diagnosed because you know, even people's families think, oh my gosh, if my son or daughter gets diagnosed with this and this and this, what does this mean? They won't be able to work. They won't be able to live their life as planned. No, that's not true. Yeah, they may have more limitations, but ultimately, a diagnosis, it allows you to figure out who you truly are and understand your framework, and if anything, improve your situation.
Exactly.
Mm.
And you can, and then you determine, you know, how, rather than going in through the front door, which of course it doesn't work if you have certain whatever's going on with you. You have to learn to maybe go in through the back door, climb in through the window, jump over the wall, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And that's in essence what I've done. I literally,
Keep
you
trying to
know,
cover the wall.
well, that's what I did with Toastmasters.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. I was about to hit on that next achievement with Toastmasters. Your biggest achievement thus far is winning the highest award in Toastmasters. I mean, I'm extraordinarily proud of you of winning that, because who would think someone who's on the autism spectrum, and of course communication and socialization does not become natural, who would ever think that someone like that could win an award? And you won it because of your dedicated hard work. Am I right?
there were multiple things. So do you know how Toastmasters works?
Yes, it's a worldwide club that consists of motivational speaking, right?
Well, it's not only motivational speaking. One second here. Sorry about that. I didn't want to cough in your ear. So,
Okay, it's okay.
so the governor of Hawaii, this is a governor who said that Toastmasters is the best and least expensive public speaking and leadership organization. This is the governor of Hawaii saying this. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
how it works is that everyone in a Toastmasters club is a volunteer, and and then when people join, they have goals, and there's of course the new people and the senior people and the middle and the people in the middle as well. Um, and there's club officers. There's there's people like the club president who's in charge of everything.
Yeah.
And then there's and then the next but the person with the most responsibility and the biggest things to accomplish is the vice president of education, because they're in charge of making sure everyone meets their speaking goals.
Wow.
Because in order for a club to get Toastmasters awards, people have to complete speeches.
Exactly.
So I was the speaker mentor for two different clubs at the same time. I was both the president and the vice president of education for two different clubs.
Wow.
And then
Ooh.
right, and there's something called President's Distinguished. That's the highest award that Toastmasters Corporate offers their clubs, and both clubs won President's Distinguished the year that I was leading them, when they hadn't won anything, 0 awards the year before. And then also, thank you. I so appreciate that. And then
Yeah, you deserve it.
I know people can't see you clapping because this is a Zoom call. We're doing this podcast on a Zoom call, but I'm saying thank you because I'm seeing him clapping.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let the people know why I was acknowledging him.
Yeah, they could hear it though. They could hear it.
Yeah. And then also there was another award called the Spark Plug Award. And the Spark Plug Award was given to a person in each area that had the most effect on not only that area, but that district. I would literally, give trainings on how to be a better speaker for not only our club, but district-wide trainings.
That's right.
So they voted me the Spark Plug Award, and I have a plaque for that and all that. So
how cool. Man, what an amazing achievement. And you are inspiring to every single listener who will be listening to this podcast, because you're giving them hope. You're giving, they may be in their darkest moment in life, but if you pulled yourself out, so can everybody.
absolutely.
I mean, you're bringing me to tears, because
Oh.
they're happy tears. It's
Exactly.
you've done. I'm sure you proved a lot of people wrong.
Exactly. That's right.
And that's what this podcast is about. You do not let anybody steal you away from your dream. Pursue it. Right, Tyler?
Yes, indeed.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
oh,
right.
Maybe,
and keep going, Tyler.
um, maybe one day I can do a podcast about me.
That's right.
In
Yeah.
other words, what I've overcome and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Maybe I'll just interview you, Tyler.
Exactly.
here's
You do that.
here's my suggestion. Okay,
Yeah.
what I typically offer if I have a good rapport with people is after they interview me, I make them the spotlight.
Mm.
And and then I'm doing that with my friend Elizabeth and her friend because I was on their podcast. Um and and I love that smile on your face, Sailor. It is so
Thank you.
cool.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
awesome.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
but
Thank you.
but what I live for is to see those smiles. That's what
Yeah.
Me too.
motivates me.
Yeah.
That's
And
what keeps me going.
we can't see the smiles, but we can hear them.
And feel
Exactly
them.
right. And it's all about voice inflection.
It is. It's
And
all
that's what they teach you in Toastmasters. One of the many things.
voice inflection. Oh, how
And
cool. Yeah.
I think I've heard of Toastmasters before, actually.
And
I think one of my friends from Hallsville who went to school with me, I think she was in it. Her name is Courtney.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and by the way, just what I do just to connect with people is, they can go to my website, www.myautismgifts.com, send me an email
That's
saying
right.
they want to meet with me. And then I have a free 30-minute meeting with them. And I see if I can assist them with any of their goals, dreams, desires. And I see if there's a connection. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't.
That's right.
So-
That's right. Well,
And keep going.
yeah, well, yeah, thank you so much for sharing your website because I was going to ask you to share it, especially towards the end of the show. So it's myautismgifts.com because yeah, you proved it. You may be on the autism spectrum, but you have many gifts with it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and by the way, one more here. Just because we're diagnosed with something, a diagnosis is simply a medical term, medical whatever you want to call it. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
But a diagnosis is not a prognosis.
No.
A prognosis is what we develop for ourselves. And sometimes, a lot of people don't know how to get out of their own way.
That's
because
right.
they haven't
That's
been
right.
taught that. They're still playing the blame game.
Right.
Or whatever, or they have judgments and opinions in the first 7 years of people's life. It's like a virtual tape recorder. Oh, I choke on broccoli, once, and people laugh at me. And they don't realize for the next 50 years or whatever that they hate broccoli. Obviously this is an extreme example, but they hate broccoli because somebody laughed at them.
Yeah.
So I have a gift of asking people the right questions so that to dig deeply and get to the root cause of what's causing whatever is going on in their life, and then create a plan for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's about creating a plan, and the fact that you're not considering your disability, it's an ability, and you're using it to help other people. That's the goal, that's the goal to do it. And that's what it is. And so of course, I know all of us, we only have so much time. So Rob, I just want to ask, do you have anything else to share? Because if not, let's just go to closing remarks. So you got the floor.
Okay. Well, So the bottom line when we're living life is that if we don't know what's causing our issues, if we keep attracting, I don't know, an abusive, if we had an alcoholic father, an abusive mother, if we had a boss who tore us to shreds, we don't know what judgments, conclusions we developed as a result of that,
Right.
until you talk to somebody like me who's done 38 years worth of this stuff, or a
Yeah.
therapist, or whoever, so that they could uncover your gifts, because we all have gifts.
We
It's
do.
just that we don't always know what they are, because no one's has taught us. Oh, go to my favorite book that I recommend to people is What Color Is Your Parachute? Because that they answer a bunch of questions, and they see what their God-given gifts are.
That's right.
And then so it's whenever I do these sorts of podcasts, my job, shall I say, is to simply encourage people to reach out to anyone that they feel connected with, whether it be myself, whether it be a pastor, a minister, a good friend, whoever they can relate to, whoever is supportive of them, and and we have to determine who that is. And sometimes we need a really specific filter, because people will listen to us, but they may not have the qualities to give us good advice. So
Okay.
make sure that you look at my website, www.autismgifts.com.
MyAutismGifts.com.
Yeah, myautismgifts.com.
Yeah.
That you talk to a pastor, a minister, a therapist, whatever, and say what's on your mind. Say what's blocking you.
Yeah.
Say what, and because if you keep
Don't.
applying for jobs for, I don't know, $15 an hour or whatever, that's because you may not have confidence in your skills.
That's right.
And the confidence stems from something. So that's why you talk to whoever you talk to.
And that's why a lot of people like who work just 40-hour-a-week jobs, they're just afraid to fail. They don't want to go out there and take risks. And that's not us. That's right, Tyler? No.
Right. And if there's anything that I can do to support you or Tyler or anyone, if I can't help you, my Rolodex is really big. I have gobs and gobs of resources that I can point you to if I determine that that we're not a good fit, because
That's
there's
right.
no sense in having like an oil and water relationship when they're separate.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, because you may not be able to help me, but you may know other resources that can. It makes perfect sense.
Right. Hey, if you and Tyler want to schedule a call, I'm all for that. Just go to the website, send me an email, and go from there. Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
That would be cool. Heck, maybe you can be a part of our team.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Possibly.
and I mean, I'm so glad Podpalooza and Speakers Playhouse exists, because that's how our paths cross. We met on there, and those events are epic. Kimberly Crow, so awesome. Michelle Abraham, Braden Ricketts, they're all awesome. And they're helping me launch this podcast, and I'm so looking forward to being at Podpalooza October 19th. And Rob, you'll be there, right?
I don't know. Is it like a virtual event
It's
or?
on Zoom. Yeah, I can send you a link and you can
Okay.
register. You can be a regular attendee, which is $5, or you can be a VIP, where you can be interviewed on up to 5 different podcasts, and it's $197. So I could send you an affiliate link and you can register. But yeah, you should definitely come. It's October 19th. It's gonna be awesome. And so yeah, that's that. And so to close out, I ask every guest on my show, anybody who's listening to this, if they're struggling right now and don't see that there's a way out and they're stuck, what advice do you have to offer for them? What can you tell them?
Reaching out and asking for help is not, and I stress the word not, a sign of weakness.
No.
It's a sign of strength.
Yeah.
And
right.
because if people might have shame or blame or whatever they have because they had a bad experience doing that and they don't want to repeat the bad experience, but by not knowing that they had that bad experience, and that bad experience is controlling everything, then that's what's causing the issue. So thank you so much for that link.
Yes.
And it was my pleasure to be here. And one final thing, I get my energy by assisting others and seeing their life grow.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's my passion, and that's my purpose.
And
keep going.
No, you keep going. Sorry.
Okay, so that's my passion, that's my purpose, and I hope to connect with as many people as I can, which is why I do these, to really reach out and tell people there is hope.
Woo! There is
Okay.
hope. And that's why it's called Hope Without Sight, to bring sight to the hopeless. And let people know that there's hope and you can achieve greatness, because at the end of the day, you only have one life to live, period. And all you can do is live it to the full. Right, y'all?
And also I know two people who are visually impaired. And I'm going to see if they're interested in coming on your podcast.
Awesome. Yeah. If you know anybody else, please send them our way.
And I'm not opposed to being a co-host here and there.
Yeah.
And assisting you and helping you grow your podcast. Because when we reach out and we go and we do selfless service, we never know who the universe is going to send us and how we're going to connect, and how I can serve them, how they can serve me, and have this symbiotic relationship.
That's right. That's right. Oh, well, thank you so much for, offering your assistance to, to help us on this journey. We love that. Be great.
Mm-hmm. So hey, and one thing I always end in anything I do, and people who've been in Clubhouse rooms with me, and if you don't know what Clubhouse is,
yeah, we
it's
do.
an audio only app.
We know about it.
Right, but the people who are listening may not. So you Google what is Clubhouse, and it's an audio only app for both smartphones, for both iPhones and Androids. But what I always say is, bah! and no, you're not a sheep. That's what sheep say. That stands for be awesome as always. So So be awesome as always, or figure out, why you're not being as awesome as you can be by talking to whoever you talk to.
That's right. Good acronym there. Good acronym. Well,
Right. So I'll let you close out the podcast.
well, Rob, thank you so much for agreeing to be on our podcast. Hearing your story has been so remarkable. And it's already uplifted me, and it's going to uplift so many others. Everybody, please give it up for Rob Holtz. And please hit that subscribe button to stay tuned to more episodes. And also, don't forget to download this podcast and share it with your friends. Thank you so much for being on here, Rob.
And share it and share it with people who can share it with others.
That's right. Make it viral. Make it viral.
Because it's all about creating a ripple effect.
It is. Yeah, it is. Well, it was a pleasure to have you on here, Rob.
And the pleasure was mine.
Yes.
So go out and have a day.
Have
okay?
a bye. And like always, everybody stay blessed.
That's right.
We hope you feel renewed, inspired, and encouraged, like you can just carry on and conquer the world.
Please hit the subscribe button on all platforms and tell your friends and family to do the same.
Blessings to all.